Hello, everybody. Look who's here. Eric Braeden. How are you? Happy 45th anniversary with Young and the Restless. What incredible.
How the hell are you, Michael?
I am good. I'm good. Um,
How many years have you interviewed me now?
40,
Oh, my God almighty. Now,
40.
for the listeners, I got to tell you, the reason he didn't show up at the celebration is because last time I saw him, some cockamamie thing, I hit him on the shoulder very hard, like we do with fellow athletes and all that. And he had just had his shoulder operated on. Whoa. I felt badly for the next month. And he didn't show up because he was afraid I was going to do to his other shoulder.
Well, I had to bring in shoulder pads when I saw you next. So, how are you? It's amazing, Eric, that tomorrow is actually your 45th. That's when you first appeared on YNR, February 8th. Was your first air date.
That's
Uh,
the day before my son's birthday, so February 9th. Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway,
So now when you look back at this, I think we've talked about this before, but did you ever think this would last this long?
no,
Or at some point you knew?
I would have thought someone was nuts to suggest that. As an actor, to work on one show for 45 years, are you kidding? In this town? My God, no, never. I wanted to stay for maybe 3 months, and then for a year, but that was it. Years later. And one
And
thing I can say, today's remarks by all the fellow actors were very touching indeed.
I heard you had the cast, they did a little lunch for you today.
Yes.
And was everyone saying nice things or was there any not nice things?
Well, so, no, they all said very nice things. Very nice things. Very touching, I must say. I was very touched. Yep.
We have so many people here with us in the chat. Jonathan's calling you, king of daytime. Absolutely. Pumpkin Pie, he's the best actor. I have to say, Eric, over the years, you've given us so many wonderful performances. And recently, you had this showdown with Ray Wise, and it was just the two of you. I actually thought that was an amazing showdown. How did you feel about that? Because Ian, he stands up to Ian Ward, and and he goes on this whole monologue. Did you like that? I thought it was great.
Ray Wise is a wonderful actor. I have a deep respect for him. And, he and I are old timers, and he's just a wonderful actor, that's all. And a joy to work with, just a joy to work with. We laugh a lot, can't take yourself too damn seriously in this business. And yeah, I enjoyed the scenes very much.
Yeah, and I liked it because Victor was saving his family, and he would do anything to save his family. Is that kind of the underlying thing of the character? All these years, he would do anything to protect those he loved.
Yes, well, the interesting thing about the character, and I just talked about it now during the celebration, Bill Bell wrote a wonderful storyline many, many years ago when Victor explains to Nicky about his childhood. No one ever knew about it. And by the time I finished that, I went to my dressing room and called my wife and said, now I would stay on the show because I knew instinctively it would open up a whole panoply of acting possibilities, and it's I love the character, still love it, but from that moment on I loved it. Before then I didn't. But Bill Bell is the one who imbued the character with the background that I love.
I mean, I love. What did you say? Sorry, your last sentence.
And kind of identify with,
Right.
My father early on grew up during the war, under bombs, saw too many people leave and die, and my father died when I was 12. So all that becomes nourishment for an actor's soul, Um, you, as an actor, you draw from all those emotional deep emotional wounds. And yeah.
So you look at yourself today from where you were maybe 20, 30 years ago. Do you consider as an actor you're better than you were 20, 30 years ago? Or do you think like you've kind of kept it? Do you think you've changed at all as an actor, has in your performance or your work?
I've definitely become better. No two ways about that. In my own mind. And yes. So, yes, you have a chance to practice it almost every day. And so you become better. Then you begin to again remind yourself of the basic lessons that I learned from Marlon Brando, who I worked with in '65, and then watching Spencer Tracy. And it's try to be as real as you can be, given the artificial parameters of what we do in daytime. That ain't easy. But that has been my guiding light ever since. Be as real as I can be with a scene that was written by people I don't even know.
You and I talked about there was a scene, I'm putting up a picture where you had caged Jordan, which was reminiscent of when he had caged Michael Scott years
That's
ago
right.
with the rats, in a way. And you were
Those were the days, my friend. Those were the days.
when he was a villain, or we thought he was a villain, and he put him in the rats. And you worked with the late Meg Bennett, who I know was wonderful. Can you say anything about that time period? Because it's so like etched in our mind, like, oh my God, he put the guy in the rats in the cage, and you had Julia's.
Well, he had the audacity to have an affair with my wife.
Right.
So I put him in a cage. Of course, I had a dungeon below my living room. You know
Of
that.
course. Of course.
And I fed him baked rats.
Yes.
Really punishing, don't they? So don't cross Victor Newman. Ever.
No, he's always one step ahead, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Except somehow the villains still are trying to ruin his family. And there's a question here, and I just want to talk to you because they're asking about your ongoing relationship with Melody Thomas Scott. And the fans' question here is, what was your first reaction when you met Melody? What do you remember was your first, what did you think of her when you first met her?
She was very attractive. That's what I remember the most at first. And
Yeah.
then, a relationship developed after that, evolves after that. And I can't really put my head around the fact that we have worked together now for 45 years. It's stunning. It's just stunning. I adore her. She gets me. She knows how to deal with me. And not always the easiest guy, but I try to make a scene good and real if I can. And she understands me, and she's very good. Has a great sense of humor. We laugh a lot, as I laughed a lot with Jeannie Cooper.
Oh, and I have to say, I was going to bring up Jeannie. I found this photo of the two of you, and I know I wish she was here with us to celebrate your 45th. She
Yeah.
would have some nasty words, fun words to say, I'm sure.
Yes.
But
She talked like a sailor. Jeannie talked like a sailor.
Now, what was it like when you met Jeannie? Because she was, what was that like for you? Was she a fireball back then with you, or?
Well, what happened? Let me tell you what happened. I played this tough guy, and she walked up to me. First day we had a scene. And she put her hand between my legs and said, "All right, big boy, see what you've got." I said, whoa, girl. Cool it, sweetheart, cool it. Whoa. And anyway, that's how it started. She and I were laughing ever since.
Do you think it's a big hole with the show not having her there? Do you guys still, is it without her being there?
Well, we often think about her, and I often think about Christophe St. John as well. I miss him a lot. He was a good friend. I trusted him. Think of Dougie Davidson. Dougie Davidson was a very good friend, and I don't know why he's not working. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I understood it initially, but I don't understand it now. Dougie is part of this and should be here. And yeah, anyway, Christophe St. John, I think back on how he exited.
I
Sad.
know. I'm
Sad.
very sad. I loved him so much.
Yeah.
He was a dear man too. I had a
Nice
wonderful.
man, and I trusted him, you know. And
Yeah.
he and Dougie Davidson were the two guys I trusted.
I think that's what's so amazing in this art form, like this 45 years. Where else would you get that, where you have these deep relationships with these people that you've worked with for 15 years? I mean, it isn't any, like, do you miss doing?
Let me correct you about that.
Yeah.
It really isn't that close in daytime. We are not that close in daytime. I tell you why. We have no time to really socialize.
Mm.
When we are together, we learn lines, we rehearse the shit. Okay? So in nighttime and films, you have all day to talk to each other and bullshit. All day. Because it takes so long to set up a shot. Daytime, we have no time. So therefore, we don't really socialize that much, believe it or not. Yeah. And yet, obviously, some of us are close, but not as close as you would think.
Right.
Because time constraints are so enormous. You come to work, you go to your own dressing room, you start looking at the stuff, start learning it, and you say, who the hell wrote this? Okay. And then you make some changes here and there, and you try to make it real. Then the other actors come in, and we rehearse together and make some changes here and there. Then you call it into the director so that they're prepared. And then you go on set, and then you have to be on the ball right then and there. And what people don't realize about acting is that we learn anywhere between a minimum of 10. I've done as many as 62 pages of dialogue in one day, but often 30, 25, 35. To do that, to learn it, to know it, is really the primary task of what we do. Then on top of that, to act and try to be real is another task. So that comes with time. You need to be able to relax. Because one thing people don't realize, when you're an actor and they say action, or they count down, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you're there in front of all the eyes. If you screw up, it's embarrassing. So a lot of tension goes into doing a scene. Much more tension than we show. All right? Now, I'm usually relaxed. Here and there, I think, oh shit, I got to learn all this. Wait a minute. And then, but on the whole, you really need to focus. So you don't have a lot of time for social relationships and social connections.
Yeah, when I talk to, I've talked to Joshua Morrow many times,
Yep.
and he has such love and respect for you. And I was talking to him and his son Crew Morrow, who Crew's like, oh yeah, Eric's the greatest. Like you have good relationships with them. When Joshua started on the show, what did you think? He was playing your son. Did you have any reservations about Josh?
None whatsoever. No, none. He's a great guy from the beginning. He's a man's man. He's a great sense of humor. Love working with him, and we have a lot of laughs. He has a great sense of humor, and so when we all together, Melody and Joshua and Emilia Heinle, and it's wonderful. We laugh a lot. Mark Grossman, who's a great actor.
Yeah.
Josh is a damn good actor. So is Mark Grossman. So is Emilia Heinle. I mean, so obviously is Melody. So, and Peter Bergman. my nemesis has always been damn good. And yeah,
Peter Bergman and you, did you ever think this? I mean, they've made the Nemesis storyline work for decades, right? Did
right.
you feel right away this would work between the two of you?
Yeah, yeah, I did. Yeah. It's a lot of stuff in acting and shows and movies is sort of serendipitous. You never know what kind of chemistry people have between each other. And Peter, in my case, it's we love to go after each other, and it's you can't program that really. It is either there or it isn't, and we have played good enemies for a long time now, and I would say it is part of that is a bedrock of the show, really.
Definitely. Yeah. There's a question, Miss Blue. Whose idea was it for Victor to always say my baby to Nikki? It is so sweet.
I am loath to say it, but I've been known to improvise.
Okay.
I'm putting it very mildly. Okay.
Well, that's everybody knows my baby. That's like what you always say to her now.
Yeah.
It's like a staple of the show. You have had some really interesting people, like Esther Williams.
Yes.
Do you remember that? What was that like meeting her? And was she a big fan of the show?
She was a huge fan. And she would tell me that she met with Mel Oberon and two or three others of the old stars, and they would watch the damn show. And then I met Esther in Spain. She was then married to, or the lover of, Fernando Lamas, a very nice man, a funny guy, hilarious guy. And we did a film together called 100 Rifles
Right.
with Fernando and Jim Brown and Burt Reynolds and the inimitable Raquel Welch.
That's right. That's right. Jesse Ventura came to YNR too. Do you?
I have great admiration for Jesse.
Yeah.
It's a man who speaks his mind like I do, and he is. Well, he comes from the world of sports. So
Yep.
do I.
Right.
And amongst athletes, there's a kind of a immediate camaraderie. There's you drop all the bullshit. You're honest with each other. Boom. And Jesse Ventura, I have great respect for. Do I always agree with what he has to say? I haven't listened lately, but we had interesting conversations. And that man can tell stories. Wow. He's a raconteur.
Did you ever see him in the WWE as Jesse the Body Ventura in
No,
Pro?
I never saw that.
Gotcha.
No, never saw that. No.
So years.
I've just great respect for him.
Yeah.
And wonderful wife, beautiful wife, and children, and I have great respect for him as a man. Yeah.
So your son Christian Gudegast has a new film out. Talk to me about the film Den of Thieves 2 Pantera. Have you seen the film? Do you love it? Like what's your thoughts?
Have I seen it? Is the Pope Catholic? Damn right I have. Let me tell you this, and you know it all. When he was born, that was arguably the happiest moment in my life. Period. Hands down. That's it. And it has been like that ever since. I have great respect for him. I took him to the ghetto boxing gyms when he was 8 or 9 years old. And I wanted him to learn that side of town. And I loved being around all those old fighters and getting to the ring. And I wanted my son to grow up in that atmosphere partly. Because if you grew up just on the west side of LA, you don't see any of that, I wanted to know what the difficult side is. And I wanted him to know I have such deep respect for boxing and such deep respect for boxers. It's almost the deepest respect I have as a former athlete, because nowhere are you as exposed as in a ring. Nowhere are you as exposed as in a fist fight with another man.
Mm.
And I wanted him to feel that, to know that. And I can think of a few politicians who need their asses kicked, because then they would start having respect for other men. They don't, because they never got their asses kicked. That's the problem.
Mm.
That's it. So then I grew up with him in soccer. I taught him soccer for 25 years, coached his team. And I have the greatest respect for him. Then I saw his first forays into filmmaking at UCLA. I always knew he would be something in the business. And then Bill Bell asked me if he wanted to play my son on the show.
That's right.
And there was part of me that wanted him to do that. And I said, you need to go to acting school to understand writing and directing. And he did. And I talked to the head of the school afterwards, after about a year. He said, your son has everything to become a big star. And he and I talked about it. And the day came when he had to make up his mind whether he wanted to be on Y&R. He says, Dad, I love you, but that's not what I want to do. I want to direct and write, or write and direct. And you've always told me to follow my dreams. And that's my dream. And I said, I'll support you no matter what. But I was kind of sad because I was looking forward to acting with him. But you know, Joshua Morrow is sort of like my son. They're similar in some ways. And yeah, so now I'm very, very, very proud of both of his films. Den of Thieves, Den of Thieves 2 was #1 in the box office.
Yes.
Just after my house burned down.
Which we're going to talk. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I have been, first of all, I've been following everything you've said about what happened to your home during the wildfires. Mm-hmm. My heart goes out to you. It must have been devastating. How are you now about it? Are you, what's your outlook on this? I mean, so many people like yourself lost their homes.
Right.
It's terrible.
Yeah. To be very honest with you, you go through ups and downs, you know? There are moments when you drive through town and you want to go back to where you've lived for 40 years. And then you say, wait a minute, that ain't there anymore. I mean, flat, ashes. And then you catch yourself and you say, okay, what's the next step? What do we do now? So I don't like to reminisce too much about it. No sense in it. And I talked to my wife about it, and it was really her enormous loss. That was her home. And we had antique furniture and fossils and paintings from all over the world, really. Because I had filmed in various parts of the world. And she had made it a beautiful home. Beautiful home. And for her, it's tough. Yeah.
And this is in the Palisades fire, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel I remember visiting, there was years ago, I visited, I don't know if that was the same home, your home. There was a party there, I think you had with many people from the show.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was that home.
I think it was my 70th birthday.
Yes, it was a lovely home.
Yeah.
And I remember. It's been really tough for everybody. And, you know, I was watching the Grammy Awards over the weekend, and they did an amazing job of, you know, doing a show, but at the same time, raising $9 million for wildfire relief. I mean, they really created the show that was not just music and handing out awards, but they did good. They honored the firefighters and everybody else for it. Yeah. So I thought it was.
I have the deepest respect for firefighters. Always had. They are good people, on the whole, very good people, really. And their whole outlook is different. They save lives and they save structures. So they have a whole different, and they're tough guys, but they have a whole different outlook on life. Cops have a different outlook on life.
Right.
So I have respect for both. Yep.
Did you get the proclamation to the city? Did you see with the mayor? Like, what did you get a proclamation at one? What?
Not today. This was Tom DeBonge, one of the
Yes.
best politicians ever in LA, and this was a proclamation by the city. I think this was at my maybe 40th. And Tom is no longer with us, but he was a great councilman. Yeah.
Amazing. Now, of the weddings, amazing weddings,
Yeah.
did you like the weddings or do you not like the weddings? Are those long and arduous and take forever, or do you have patience with it? And how are you with the weddings of the Victor Nikki weddings?
You want to know, honestly?
Honestly.
I thought, when the hell is this day over with?
Exactly.
You know? Jesus. I mean, but beautiful dresses, beautiful moment, long days, just long days. Something one doesn't really look forward to as an actor, you know? But it is what it is. And then when you do the scenes, you forget about it all. And she was beautiful. She looked gorgeous.
Oh, she's gorgeous. Yes. Here's a question. Was Eric pleased with the recreation of the original Newman Ranch set?
Yes. Yes, I was. I was actually very touched by it.
I saw you were very emotional about it. Was it?
Yeah, I was very touched by it.
Did you know about it? You knew about it.
Yeah, I knew they were doing it, but I just, when I saw it, I just was really, my God, then I suddenly realized how many memories, how long Mel and I had worked in there, and my children, and how many storylines. And it just suddenly hit me. Yeah, I was touched, very touched by it.
Rochelle is asking, what characteristics does Victor have that you share?
Tequila.
Exactly.
But I don't give a shit.
Right.
I don't take any shit. Let me put it this way. It's not that I care a lot, but I don't take any shit from anyone. Makes no difference who it is. Okay? I'm ready to fight. Always have been. That's how I grew up. Has been tempered, but I'm very giving to people, very warm-hearted, very empathetic. But you start shit with me, watch out. That's all.
But you're also but what I always admired about you too is not only what a great man you are, but you're very disciplined. Like you go out, don't you think you're disciplined when you come up with like a workout regimen or this or your work? You seem like you're a disciplined person.
Yes.
Right? Which I admire too. Like
yes. And you're right. But that comes from a childhood in which I never saw anyone not working. A tough childhood. After the war, people lost everything. I never saw my mother not working, my father not working. Everyone in the village I grew up in was always working on farms. I worked many times on farms to earn my money. After I was 12, my father died. We were left destitute. And so I worked on farms to earn my pocket money. You become tough. Yeah.
Jonathan is asking, is there a story Eric hasn't got to play with Victor yet that he would like to explore? Is there something you'd still like to play?
That's very interesting. Interesting question. You know, I've been so blessed with so many rich stories that I'm hard put right now to say I'm really dying to play something. Um, I regret that Victor and Ashley didn't have more of a storyline over the years. I regret that.
I know you like working with Eileen.
Yes.
Over there, yeah.
Eileen is a beautiful woman and interesting actress. And I think it would have been constant tension.
Mm.
It's what I regret in this business, not regret, but it is the nature of it. You have to talk. Everyone has to always explain things. I don't think that's necessary. I personally think that at a party, for example, just a glance between Victor and Ashley says everything. You don't need anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand? It's
just in the eyes, in the glance, in the moment.
Yes. And I don't blame the writers because they have to fulfill a certain quantity of pages, you know, and the timing has to be right, etc., etc. But I often wish there were more scenes where almost nothing is said. And the audience can understand immediately.
Was there a story?
Excuse me, Michael. Audiences are very smart.
Yes.
They are very smart.
Yes.
Much smarter than people give them credit for, really. And I used to hear at nighttime, when I did nighttime, oh, well, you know, they won't notice in whatever. I said, yes, they do. I learned that on watching daytime. Audiences know exactly what's going on. They know it precisely and they pick it up. The subtlest things they pick up.
You can't put anything over on soap audience, especially in
continuity.
They know they'll like call it out. They're like, well, that doesn't track.
That's right. That's right.
And over the years, when you've had the different writers come and go, and you don't have to tell me what the story is, but is there something with everything you've gotten that you just wouldn't, you said, I can't play this? Did you ever have an issue with a story with a writing team and say this doesn't track for him?
I would I would almost never let them know because I wouldn't want to sit in their shoes.
Yeah.
They're the most unsung heroes in this business in Hollywood, our writers. I know by watching my son what they go through. It's the hardest job. How do you, as Josh Griffith or Bill Bell, whoever they all were, write this stuff every day for 20, 25 characters? That's just unheard of. Try it. So before I criticize, I should try it. I don't want to because I know how hard it is. So have there been storylines that I was not happy about? Sure, of course, here and there. I don't even remember. I'm of the type. I've had a lot of tragedies in my life, but I forget. Move on. Boom. Fuck it. Move on.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't dwell on it for too long, unless I need to bring it up for a scene. Then I think about it.
When Bill Bell when you met Bill Bell for the first time, was he intimidating to you in any way?
No. No one is intimidating to me. No one is intimidating.
Right. But I mean,
no. Never, ever, no. I didn't even know what a soap was. I had no clue. Dabney Coleman, my good old friend Dabney Coleman, who passed about a year ago, he and I played tennis together. He was the best tennis player amongst the celebrities. And one day I got a call from my then agent, and they said they would love to see you for a soap at CBS. I said, what the hell is a soap? Well, there's daytime television. I said, daytime television? Who watches television during the day? I had no clue. So I went to the interview, and Ed Scott was there as well. And Ed Scott talked about that today.
Oh.
My celebration. He remembered. And he remembered the whole body language and all that. And I came in sort of, reluctant. I thought, what's a soap? I listened to them. It's okay, whatever. So I signed up for 3 months. I didn't want any more. There you go. No, I've not been doing that.
And now you're like, you did realize at some point, like, I'm world famous. My character, everybody knows Victor Newman. Like, everybody knows Victor Newman. You can go, right?
I got to be very honest with you.
Yeah.
Very, very honest. I don't think about that.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. When I leave here, I think about things I have to do, people I have to meet, workouts I have to do. I don't think about that. I think about tomorrow's schedule. When should I be here? Do I have to learn this shit tonight or not? Maybe tomorrow. I don't think about that until it hits me when I go through the streets of Istanbul or Paris or Tel Aviv or, Rome. And then you said, holy shit, they know me here? Wow. It's hard to explain. I don't think about it much. I really don't.
Right.
I've known too many. I've been an actor since 1962. And I've known actors on nighttime who thought without them, the show wouldn't go on. Well, where are they now? And so as soon as you believe that without you, something wouldn't work, you're going down a very slippery road. Never think that. And daytime keeps you honest because I got to learn this shit every day. Do you understand? It keeps you honest. And to turn that into something real, I've never tired of that. I don't want to go to a shrink to find out what that is all about, but I love it. I love to take something someone else wrote and make it real. And the most difficult writer to do that with is Shakespeare.
Mm-hmm.
You start tackling Shakespeare. I did an evening of 12 monologues from 9 different plays. I thought I was going to die.
I bet.
I'm telling you. I can't tell you. I used to run up in the mountains that are now burnt down and, run up and down the mountains. And now is the winter of our discontent, may glorious summer by the son of York, and all the clouds that lured upon the house in the deep bosom of the ocean buried, and on and on. And people walk by, I thought, this guy's nuts. Anyway. Yes.
I know. Yeah. Candace is asking us, this October will mark the 95th anniversary of the soap opera genre. What makes this genre so amazing, wonderful, and continues to grow? Eric, why do you think this genre is so amazing and wonderful and continues on?
I assume it has to do with the fact that it's kind of like real life. It goes on and on and on, with enormous ups and downs, with many dramatic moments, which we all have in real life. It takes you away from your real life sometimes, which can be more difficult for most people than we realize. I just remember my mother shortly after the war when we had nothing. And there was a little theater in our village. They turned a little room into a theater. About 100 people would show up, looking forward to Gone with the Wind, for example. It was a time away from the hardness and the harshness of life. I think and my mother saw Gone with the Wind 13 times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it just transports you away for a while. Who can look at the fucking news all day long, right? It's just getting so depressing. So to be transported away, that is the real purpose of what we do, to entertain people. And I didn't know any of that, really, until I did the soap, until I did Y&R. I remember working with Marlon Brando. And he and I would talk about politics and history, things that interest me a lot, and him as well. And he had a kind of a disdain for acting. He was the most brilliant actor I've ever worked with, but he had a disdain for it, sort of, kind of, yeah, Hollywood, the whole bullshit. He didn't like it. And I said, my man, you're an icon in the world. Don't you ever go out and really realize what influence you have, what impression you make on people? He said, yeah. You know, I said, what did you learn in Lee Strasberg?
Mm.
He said, I picked up a lot of broads. That was his answer. What, Lee Strasberg going to teach him how to act? Give me a break.
Abroad, really, really. I was just gonna.
Marlon was just a brilliant actor. And
Brilliant actor.
But
Brilliant.
I learned on this show that what we really do and what we should be grateful for being able to do is we entertain people. That's the essence of what we do. And movie stars never really realize that fully. Not fully. Because I remember being cynical about what I did in the first 20 years of my career, nighttime television and films. I never saw what effect it had on people, if any. But I saw that on Weinar. Doug Davison and I did an appearance a few years into Weinar in Canada. I will never forget it. There were 15,000 people showed up in a small space in a huge shopping mall, packed from side to side. I said, what? What? For us? Whoa.
Right.
That's the first time I was overwhelmed by what influence daytime has. And I've been grateful to the medium ever since.
Yeah, I was going to say to Candace when she asked us both about what makes it so wonderful, this genre, I was just going to say, for the viewers, it really is like an extended family for them. You are the extended family. You are, for many people, you're their connection, not only their escape, but some people don't have a lot of people in their life, and you guys are there. Like, they feel close to the characters, close to the action, want to see what's happening with them. And we have this kind of amazing community that I don't see in any other medium quite like it, between fans and the actors and the characters. There isn't anything like that.
No, it doesn't exist. And it also shows you the universality of stories.
Right.
Because it may surprise some of you, but I remember being in Istanbul and wonderful reception. I couldn't believe it. I got off the plane in Istanbul at midnight. I flew LA, Paris, Istanbul. And I was supposed to meet whoever picked me up. And I walk into the baggage area and I see all these lights and cameras. And I thought, there must be some mufti on the plane, some important imam or whatever. Didn't pay attention. A person comes up to me and says, hello, Mr. Braeden. I said, how do you do? And so then I saw behind a rope about 150, 200 veiled women with veils on. And I thought it must really be some imam who's on the plane with me. I didn't know. Some important
right
mufti. And then she said, would you mind talking to these cameras here? I said, what? Yes, they're here for you. I said, you must be kidding. And I'm fast on my feet and obviously addressed the cameras. And then she says, would you mind going over here and saying hello to all these ladies? This was 12 midnight. And I was received with enormous warmth, sweet people, and will never, ever forget it. Then was invited by Madam Chiller, who was the president of Turkey, to a party. Picked up guys with machine guns and all that. I said,
oh, God.
Holy shit. And yeah. So these are the memories and images that will stay in my mind forever. Tel Aviv, they invited me to the Knesset. and in Tel Aviv, on the streets, wherever. It makes you humble and very, very deeply grateful. And in Paris, for example, you know how kind of arrogant the French can be, and in Paris, no one looks at the other person as they walk down the street. They come walking down the street, and suddenly, sort of, they look over. And, Monsieur Victor Newman.
That's great.
Ça va? Ah, bonjour, monsieur. Ça va? I mean, it's wonderful to see the transformation in people. You know, I love Paris, by the way, and I love Istanbul, I have to say, and I love Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard, is this true? Like, are you guys the Newman family? Do you guys ever go up on your lines, or do you have to, like, is it a tough group, the Newmans? Do you guys know your stuff, or are you joking around so much? I mean, what's it? I mean, you have fun.
You know, they're great. That's a good question, but you know,
these are the things I've heard.
But it's really, I must say, the actors I work with are all very bright. But you know, we joke around and barely stop laughing, and then they count down again. Boom, you're there, you're in it. Boom, almost becomes a challenge to play around with it, and then boom, you focus. You learn to focus very quickly.
Now, do you because you're, you know, one of the staples of the show, or the lead of the show, do young actors ever come up to you now do they ever ask you advice, or do you give any of that, or do you kind of like stay out of that?
I never give advice. I just, when I see actors like Mark Grossman, whoever they all are, I afterwards said, "You're damn good at what you do. You really are very good. Keep it up, man." I told Joshua Mora, I said, "You could be a big star nighttime and film." Emilia, Melissa Ordway, Christopher Khalil, Jason Thompson, they're damn good actors. And I would tell them that I will never give advice, never. I don't do that unless asked, but never about a scene. We have a lot of good young actors on the show. Wonderful
actors on your show. Yeah. There's wonderful actors. Yeah. Is it still, as we wrap, is the George Kennedy, Dorothy McGuire scene still the all-time, in your mind, most important, greatest scenes? Because is that still hold for you?
My all-time most memorable scenes are with those two, because they touch to the core of what made Victor Newman. And I loved working with both of them, had enormous respect for George Kennedy, worked with him on a film I did many years later called The Man Who Came Back.
Yep.
And which was the most wonderful experience in my acting career, was doing that film, because I was largely responsible for the casting of it. So George Kennedy, wonderful, wonderful gentleman, powerful man, about 6'4", 6'5", 300 pounds, big man. Armand Asante was a great actor. I've always admired.
Yeah.
Billy Zane from Titanic, wonderful actor. Sean Young, wonderful actress. Peter Jason, my friend. And, you know, Stewart, who is now on GH, right? Michael Stewart, is that it? He's on General Hospital now, is he not?
Who did you say? I can't hear you.
Stewart,
who?
I forget now.
Okay.
He's a wonderful actor. And
James Patrick Stewart?
James Patrick Stewart, exactly.
Yeah, of course. Got it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wonderful actor. He's a very good actor.
Wonderful actor.
He was very good in The Man Who Came Back. Very good. Very good. And so, but doing that film was the most wonderful time I've ever had in this business. And that's due to Chuck Walker, who produced it, Sam Cable, who were the producers. And I'm deeply grateful for Chuck Walker coming up to me. He was on the 1976 Olympic boxing team with Sugar Ray Leonard. And so I respected him immediately. And he came up to me, showed me a script. I said, yeah, a few changes here and there. Let's do it. I had the time of my life. The only
Unbelievable.
problem with independent pictures is when you sell it to distributors.
Mm.
That's when you get fucked
Hmm.
in most cases. Okay.
Yes.
They do with the film what the hell they want to. But it was the most wonderful memory. Steve Bowen was a part of it. He financed most of it. Very grateful for that experience. Loved it. Love what I'm doing. Michael Fairman, you and I have bullshitted so many times. God damn it.
I can't believe it. I was looking back, Eric. We have talked so many times through the years.
Yep.
I was looking back when your book "I'll Be Damned" came out. We did an interview. We did so many sit downs through the years. I'm just so glad that I'm still around, like and can and I'm able to celebrate these little milestones along the way with you and the cast and people that I've had a connection with over these years. It's really
You're a very good interviewer. And I thank you for all those interviews. And what people in the audience don't know, that he is a workout fiend. He's a big buff guy. And when he had his shoulder operated on, I didn't know that. And I said, how the hell are you? Boom. And I hit him on the shoulder.
and
He almost sank into the ground because shoulder joints are so, when they go wrong, and
it's bad. Like I've had it so many times. It's like, yeah. Eric, happy 45th anniversary.
Thank you, Michael.
And I will see you soon, and stay well.
Yep.
And my thoughts are with you and your family. And
You're a good man.
We'll see each other soon.
You're a good man, okay?
All right.
And watch your other shoulder.
I will.
Be cool,
Thank
brother.
you all for being here. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you for the people out there.